Do we have any announcements?
Yes, Vice Chair. So the Commissioner should have received a copy of a letter addressed to the Planning Commission from a resident on Natural Trails Drive off of White Oak Crossing concerning traffic issues on their drive and future connections. I just want to let you know what the Planning Department is looking into recommendations concerning that letter for a response. So just bring that to your attention. And then we're also looking at, the department is looking at growth patterns in the area for further consideration and recommendations to the city concerning road alignments and future traffic out there. So just FYI.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for the last meeting. All commissioners have a copy. Do we have any amendments or changes?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion passes. I have no public comment items. I want to open the public hearing. We have no old business. At this time, I'd like to close the Planning Commission and open the Board of Zoning and Adjustment. Mr. Director, we have a proposed motion.
Yes, sir. Mr. Vice Chair, so the proposed motion is to the Board of Zoning Adjustments to reverse the decision of the zoning enforcement officer categorizing a proposed business under Section 94-637 sexually oriented business to be located at 301 Millwood Circle, Suite 101B. Mrs. Jasmine Davis, C. Davis, is the applicant at 301 Millwood Circle. So in early September, the applicant approached the city clerk's office requesting a business license for the Pink Door Secret Desires. And I'm sorry, I sometimes forget to move my my presentation. At which time they were directed to the Planning and Zoning for a determination of use at the subject address being 301 Millwood Circle, as you're seeing on your screens. At that time, the merchandise and services described included sale of lingerie, corsets, and sexual novelty toys, along with services of boudoir photography, lingam and yoni steam, and life coaching. Based on the context of what was presented at that time, it was determined that the use fell within the category of sexually oriented business and denied the use due to the subject property being zoned C2, which sexually oriented businesses are only allowed in the I1 zone. And the subject property being within 1,000 feet of daycares, residential areas, medical facilities, and churches, which was not allowed as well. So the determination of sexually oriented business was made based on two definitions in the code that were in question. The adult sex shop being clothing or other items marketed or presented in a context to suggest their use for sexual activities, and then sexually oriented business definition being any other business or commercial enterprise whose inventory, merchandise are characterized by a preponderance of specified sexual activities or by the exposure of specified anatomical areas. Now, the specified sexual activities did not seem to be a concern with this business model. The concern was with the definition of specified anatomical areas, specifically Part 1 of that ordinance, where the definition is less than completely and opaquely covered human genitals, public regions, buttock, and female breasts below a point immediately above the top of the areolas. So at that time, the clothing that was described to be on open display appeared to less than completely and opaquely cover certain areas described. With the majority of the clothing appearing this way, along with the boudoir photography, novelties, and other services, the determination was that the business model gave the appearance of a preponderance of sexual activities, thus the designation. Since that initial denial and the subcommittee meeting this month, the applicant has modified her business presentation to better portray what she is trying to accomplish with the business being a higher-end clothing and lingerie store, along with other services. The applicant has stated that any merchandise to be sold that fits into the definition of displaying sexual anatomical areas or activity would be less than 10% of the total merchandise and be in a closed-off area, not on public display. Lastly, the applicant has stated that they are willing to work with the city to meet the intent of the ordinance in order not to be categorized as a sexually oriented business, but rather a retail clothing and services establishment. So with that, I'll turn it over to the vice chair.
Thank you. Any commissioners have questions of staff?
Was there
Question of the applicant?
was there a, kind of like a, I guess, a misunderstanding on the interpretation of the code by the zoning enforcement officer? I thought I heard that in the subcommittee meeting.
So not at the time. At the time, the way that it was presented with, in the context, it appeared to meet the definition of sexually oriented business.
Which is I-1 or whatever, right?
Correct. But since that time, we've met with the applicant, and she wasn't very familiar with the ordinance itself, that we even had one. And with that, they're very interested in owning and operating a business in the city that would meet the intent of the city and not be designated as so she has made some modifications to her business model, which I believe she's here tonight, that she'd like to share and share that with the commission. So.
Any other questions for staff? Would the applicant's representative or the applicant come up? And if you will, give us your name and address for the record, please.
Charlene Robinson, 100 Commercial Park Drive, Maumelle, Arkansas.
I'm Jasmine Davis. I stay on 15 Oak Forest Place.
Ms. Davis, up here now, you've heard the comments of the director, the questions of the commission. Quick question. Are you going to do everything in your power to meet the face of the ordinance so you would not be considered a sexually oriented business?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so sorry. I had a misunderstanding. Yes, I am.
Any commissioners have questions?
Yes, Ms. Davis, I know that it says in here in our ordinance that the toys, if you will,
Yes.
are confined to an area of no more than 10% in or out of sight. How are you going to display those? Where will they be? Or, I mean, are they going to be in a separate room, door closed, with a door? Or how do you propose to handle that?
Similar to this case right here, it would be kind of like a blocked off area that's tall, like a wall, and it would be behind that, against the wall, like kind of in its own shelf area.
But it could be seen from the
Like
floor?
that. You can't see it unless you go into that particular room.
Oh, okay, that's
Yes.
what I was asking.
Yes.
It's going to be in its own room?
Yes.
Now,
Well, it's actually in the main room, but it's in a section where it is closed off to a mini room within the main room. I'm sorry, can you hear me?
that's hard to...
Okay, I apologize. It
With
is
this
actually,
mask, it's very difficult.
exactly. It is actually in the main room on the back wall, and that area is closed off, and it will have closing and locked doors. So it is not necessarily something that anyone could just go up to and see. It would have to be unlocked. It's in a controlled access area, basically. So it's not viewable to the public.
Okay,
the public eye.
that's what I wanted to know.
Yes, sir.
It is going to be, because I didn't know whether it was going to be in a separate room with a door, but what you're saying is whatever this display is will be covered.
It's in a locked cabinet,
And
basically a locked cabinet. I apologize.
now, whoever is there operating, I presume Ms. Davis,
Yes.
you would have to be the one that would, if someone asked about it, would have to unlock it.
Exactly, yes, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in the main display area. What if other people are in the store at the time?
You would have to go you would have to go into this area in order to be able to see it. So when you open the lock cabinet, there's even more covering partition and so forth that is closed off, so no one would be able to see it unless they're in that area
Okay.
and it's unlocked.
That's my question.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. And I have another
Yes.
question, and I asked this at the subcommittee meeting. The photography sessions,
Yes,
will there only be one photographer there?
yes,
And
as of right
you're
now.
going to be the only photographer using this facility?
Yes, sir, yes.
Is there an age discretion to go in to the shop itself? You're like 18 or?
I had said 18 and up, yes. It's 18 and up, yes, unless they're accompanied by an adult, and that's like 15 or 16 for,
For the
for-
headshot photography.
yes. Not the only standard.
For the headshot photography in the back, sometimes pageant queens, which she's a pageant queen, she does headshot photography for them, and so they would be accompanied by their parent and be in the back in the photography area, which is not visible to the area that you were asking about and so forth. It would basically be like walking through the underwear department at Walmart.
Any other questions of the commission?
So, I guess to reverse this, we need a motion.
And I get so confused on these. Yes means no, no means yes. I was just fixing to ask Madam City Attorney.
So the proposed motion is to reverse the decision. So if you, that would be the way that the motion should be phrased, that I move to reverse the decision of the zoning enforcement officer categorizing the business, et cetera. And then if you do want to allow this business, you would vote yes to reverse.
So do I have to say all that again, or can I say so moved?
No, you have to say that.
Well,
Unfortunately, one of you need to say it, one of the members of the commission.
And the description is phrased in a manner that you could read as necessary there. And also, just FYI, the applicants did provide me a presentation that if you're wanting to see as their amended model, you're welcome to. They mentioned interest in showing that, but just FYI.
Okay, so I will propose a motion to the Board of Adjustments to reverse the decision of the zoning enforcement officer categorizing a proposed business under section or business pending all applicant and commissioner comments.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? I have a little bit. Always, when we have some kind of a ordinance change or a zoning notification, and I should have asked this earlier, it's not really the place here, but I'm going to anyway. We always post a placard at the location. When we're reversing a decision, is there a placard posted at that location?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there is public notice and then physical public notice at the site.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed say no. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is a do pass recommendation.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, you need to close the.
Oh, yeah, excuse me. This time I'd like to close the Board of Zoning and Adjustments and reconvene the Planning Commission. Now, ordinance change or amendment to section 54.
I think the mayor's indicating he can't hear you. You might need to get a little closer to your mic.
Okay, this is a voice activated, and I'll get closer. How about that? 54-105. Mr. Director. That'll work.
So, this next item is a proposed motion for a due pass recommendation to City Council to amend Section 54-105 of the Maumelle Master Street Plan, amending multiple sections of the Maumelle City Code to permit local streets to be paved to a maximum of 27 feet and a minimum of 24 feet, and for other purposes. So this ordinance amendment, my apologies, this ordinance amendment to the Master Street Plan is meant to update and clarify Section 54-105 functional classification and Section 54-106 right-of-way and geometric design standards for how local streets are designed and built based on past and current practices. Currently, the Master Street Plan allows a maximum street width of 24 feet for a local street, which paved widths are meant to be measured back of curb to back of curb. The City of Maumelle has historically allowed Class 6 local street design to be 27 feet back of curb to back of curb. So this change is meant to clarify this maximum width allowed. The minimum width is also being changed from 20 feet to 24 feet to show local street widths not to be less than the maximum allowed for a rear access alley, which is 24 feet paved. This amendment is sponsored by the mayor's office, and staff recommends a due pass recommendation to City Council.
Okay. Any commissioners have questions of staff on this?
Yeah, I still have a problem with the wording of it, but that's what everybody is wanting, and I can go along with it.
Well, and if I understand it, it's the same street. It's two 12-foot paved areas with a 1.5 foot curb on either side, and it's still back-to-back curb, which is the term that I've always heard used, 27 feet.
Then why don't you just say the streets are 27 feet instead of having a minimum of 24 feet?
Well, if you look at if you look at the model in the code book, it shows the 24 feet, and then it shows on either side a 1.5 foot of curb.
Commissioner,
The street is not the curb. Part of the street.
then there may be instances where there isn't curb and gutter on either side, which in case you'd have two 12-foot sections, that's your minimum 24 feet.
Whatever.
Okay.
Does the curb include the flat part before it goes up?
Yeah.
That's the gutter, yes. It's 18 inches from the front of the gutter to the back of the curb.
Okay, any more discussion? Anyone from the audience wants to speak? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I propose a motion for a due pass recommendation to City Council to amend Section 54-105 of the Maumelle Master Street Plan, amending multiple sections of the Maumelle City Code to permit local streets to be paved to a maximum of 27 feet and a minimum of 24 feet, and for other purposes.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. All right, next item on the agenda is closing public hearing, city liaison reports. Commissioner Ramsey's not here. October the 19th was mine. We only had one item, and that was the proposed change in the master street plan for the section in, was it phase 18, 19, Maumelle Valley?
Phase 19.
Yeah. And again, it was just a second reading. There's a lot more in there. The mayor operated the electronics very well, but they defeated him anyway. Okay. November the 2nd is Commissioner Johnson. November the 16th is Chairman Green. Yeah.
Gave me a promotion.
Yeah.
Oh, oops.
Yeah.
Oops. Sorry about that. Interesting.
Is there any other announcement? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed say no. We are adjourned.